Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source. It's the backup channel backing Celeb up and bringing you all the breaking news. Check this out. A 30-year-old man named Ramir Sadowite is taking Jay-Z to the New Jersey Supreme Court because he claims that Jay-Z is his biological father. Sadowite claims that when he was 8 years old, his mother Wanda told him that Jay-Z was his father, and he has spent the last 22 years trying to prove it. According to Sadowite, his mother is sure that Jay-Z is the father because she claims that she was only intimate with two men during the time that she conceived, her high school sweetheart Robert and Jay-Z. And according to reports, Wanda allegedly requested that both Jay-Z and Robert take a paternity test back in 2010. Robert complied, but Jay-Z didn't, and during that time, the DNA test proved that Robert had no biological relation to her son. Now, after Wanda found out that Robert wasn't the daddy, she turned her sights once again onto Jay-Z. And in 2011, she actually filed paperwork to try to get child support from Jay. However, the case was dismissed because she filed the papers in the wrong court. And then, after that, don't know what happened, but she never proceeded to file the paperwork in the correct jurisdiction after that. Anyways, Sadowite alleges that Jay-Z has been abusing the legal system for more than a decade in order to avoid taking a paternity test. And he also says that he doesn't want anything from Jay-Z except to be acknowledged and to get justice served. And he also says that he's not going to stop at anything to ensure that that happens. Well, with regard to this situation, Jay-Z's attorney says Jay-Z might have 99 problems, but this ain't one. Why? Because Sadowite ain't his son. And that was that. Listen, where is Maury Povich when you need him? This is what I'm thinking. If Jay-Z actually hooked up with this chick around the time of conception, I think that he does owe this young man a DNA test. However, if there is no possibility that he could be the father, which means that he slept with her in like 1988, but she didn't get pregnant till like 1992, or he never slept with the chick at all, then you can keep on ignoring these two because you can feel confident and certain about the fact that this isn't your son. Look, let me know what you think about this dude claiming that Jay-Z is his father. Do you think that it's real, or do you think that this is just a money grab? Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now, check it out. The other day, Sukihana was in the news because she said that she was trying to get with Dr. Umar. Well, now, Sukihana is back in the news because the other day she did an interview with Angela Yee. And during that interview, Sukihana said that she would never get into a long-term relationship with a man that was well endowed. When talking about the eggplant, Sukihana said, quote, 5 inches is big to me. I'm not about to get my wall stretched out for a ninja that I'm not finna be with forever. End quote. Listen, it's really going to be hard for me to give you commentary on this particular situation because to tell you the truth, and I am not playing, in real life, I have never met a black man who was working with less than 7. But with that being said, is Sukihana right? Is it better to only rock with like the moderately sized eggplants until you get married for longevity and to preserve the God-given custom-made form of the punani? Or is this chick bugging out right now? Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, check it out. During a recent sit-down interview with Angie Martinez on Warner Music Group's Iconic Records podcast series, DJ Klark Kent and Angie Marr were discussing the classic hip-hop albums that have come out over time. And DJ Klark Kent said that Dr. Dre's The Chronic was not a classic album. Let me repeat that. He said it was not, N-O-T, a classic album. When discussing why he doesn't think that The Chronic was a classic, he said, quote, if you look at every album that you think is a classic album, like the real classics, the NWA's, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg's first album, A Tribe Called Quest joint, Slick Rick's album, Chronic, I can't even put The Chronic before I put Snoop Dogg's first album. Snoop Dogg's album is better than The Chronic. It definitely is. That's not even a question. What I'm saying is, if you take a second and you listen to all of those albums, Reasonable Doubt, Life After Death, Ready to Die, they're the same album. All of these albums do the same thing. They begin, they hold you in the middle, they hug you, and then they end. That's what classic albums do. But you gotta have great songs that make that thing happen. If you don't, you'll get one song that doesn't hit properly. You done took yourself out of the classic thing because if you can skip, you ain't got a classic. That's why I won't say that The Chronic is a classic, because I can skip High Powered featuring RBX. End quote. I think I'm going to have to disagree with your boy Klark Kent, because I don't think that the criteria for a classic album is that you don't skip any of the songs. I believe that if the album has a certain continuity and you can deal with like 80 to 90% of those songs, that album can still be a classic. Because I mean, there are certain days where I just don't feel like listening to certain songs, and that applies for like Michael Jackson's Thriller, that applies for like Prince's Purple Rain, Jill Scott's Who Was Jill Scott, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, Maxwell's Urban Suite, Erykah Badu's first album, all of the Tribe Called Quest albums, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick. I mean, those are all classic albums, but depending on how I feel, I might not want to hear all the songs. Listen, let me know what you think about DJ Klark Kent saying that Dr. Dre's Chronic album was not a classic album. And also, do you agree with Klark Kent? Is the criteria for a classic album that you don't want to skip any songs? Let me know in the comments. Now, check it out. During a recent interview on The Rich Eisen Show, director and filmmaker Alan Hughes was discussing a new FX docuseries about Tupac called Dear Mama, the Saga of Afeni and Tupac Shakur. And while he was discussing the movie, he basically started talking about Tupac's acting skills. And he said that if Tupac was still alive today, he would beat Denzel Washington's competition in Hollywood. Check out what Alan Hughes had to say.
If he had been here, I think Denzel would have some stiff competition. That's the level.
You really think
yeah,
so?
Oh yeah. He was that talented.
You would know. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
really, he was that talented at acting. you think?
Denzel and Tupac share one thing in common, and I've seen them all. I've been with world-class pimps, charismatics, all over the world, storytellers, whatever you want to. The it thing, in the streets or in the music business.
Yeah.
Denzel and Tupac possess. I've never seen it when they walk in a room. The emotional intelligence is off the charts. The social intelligence is off the genius level of social intelligence. The difference is Denzel's wise and very controlled with his emotions and can control his emotions. Yes, Tupac can't. But Tupac would have been one of our greatest leading men, would have been a multiple Academy Award winner, and the music would have been secondary. I'm sure he would have still continued doing music, but he would be huge in the film world.
You know what? Let me think about that for a second, because I'm not quite sure if I can see it. Like, I can't really see 50-year-old Tupac, acting at the same level that Denzel Washington acts, because number one, I think he would have been typecast. I think they would have stuck him in a couple of movies with like Al Pacino, and maybe one or two more like Poetic Justices and a Juice or two. But I'm not sure that he'd have had the same range and latitude that like Denzel Washington has in Hollywood. I mean, Denzel can give you from like The Preacher's Wife to Training Day, and I'm not sure if like Tupac would have been able to give that to you. But listen, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that Alan Hughes is right? If Tupac were still alive, do you think that he would be Denzel Washington's stiffest competition in Hollywood? Let me know what you think. But while we're talking about Hollywood, did you know that the Academy Awards has adopted new standards that films must meet in order to be nominated for a Best Picture Oscar? And one of the 4 new requirements that a film has to meet in order to be nominated is that the film has to have at least one of the lead actors or significant supporting actors represent an underrepresented racial group, and at least 30% of all actors in a movie who are doing minor roles have to be from underrepresented groups. Now, when asked about what he thinks about the new Best Picture requirements, 75-year-old actor and icon Richard Dreyfuss said, quote, "They make me vomit." End quote. Dreyfuss, who claims that the rules are an attempt to control and censor art, continued on to say, quote, "This is an art form. No one should be telling me as an artist that I have to give in to the latest, most current idea of what morality is. And what are we risking? Are we really risking hurting people's feelings? You can't legislate that. You have to let life be life. And I'm sorry, I don't think there's a minority or a majority in this country that has to be catered to like that." End quote. Listen, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this new Oscars rule. I mean, I'm all for diversity and inclusion, but I think that it has to be appropriate to the movie. For example, I just got finished watching a movie, Women Talking, right? And it was about a whole bunch of white women talking. I don't think that you should have to throw like a black woman in the mix if the movie is about a whole bunch of white women talking. I mean, I don't need like Celie from The Color Purple showing up in a movie that's about an all-white Amish village just because it's mandated by the Academy. And vice versa, I don't need like Nicole Kidman showing up as the African Queen in Black Panther. Anyways, back to Richard Dreyfuss. After making that statement, Richard Dreyfuss went on to discuss the fact that he's not happy with the fact that it's now frowned upon for actors to play characters of different races, and he says that it's crazy that he'll never have the chance to play a black man. When talking about his dismay about not being able to play a black character, Dreyfuss said, quote, "You know, Laurence Olivier was the last white actor to play Othello, and he did it in 1965, and he did it in blackface, and he played a black man brilliantly. Am I being told that I will never have the chance to play a black man? Is someone else being told that if they're not Jewish, they shouldn't play the Merchant of Venice? Are we crazy? Do we not know that art is art?" End quote. Listen, Richard Dreyfuss is wilding out right now, but let me know what you think. Do you think that Richard Dreyfuss should be able to play a black man if he wants to? Should he be able to put on that blackface because art is art? And also, let me know what you think about the Academy Awards changing up the rules. Do you think that it's fair to require the best movie nominees to have a certain amount of underrepresented people in the cast? Let me know what you think in the comments. And hey yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source, your source for celebrity news. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.